everybody. Good morning. Here with Colin Sparks. He is a realtor for 5 years now. He's crushing it over here at eXp. Going to make a whole lot more money over here. We're going to talk about his journey and what it looks like and how he's doing it. All right, stick around. Here we go. Colin Sparks, good morning.
How are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I like that mustache. I've always liked that mustache. There you go.
It's the only thing that grows. Yeah. That's all I got.
Good deal. Well, anyway, man, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. Definitely cranking it out with the real estate. So let's talk about your story a little bit. You've been in real estate for 5 years. Talk about that. What got you into real estate? Why real estate?
So I moved here from Florida about a decade ago. Just wanted to get out of Florida. I moved here with this is going to turn into a love story real quick. I moved here with a friend whose kid had special needs. That's eventually how I found my wife. And I'd been in sales back in Florida. I've been in like life insurance and annuities and things like that. But once I started having kids, I'm like, I need to get serious about my career.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So made the decision to do real estate in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it start out for you? How was your first year? Did you crank it up right away your first year? Was there, there's always a learning curve, trying to build a business.
So I joined a team. The one good thing I learned on that team was to produce my own leads instead of relying on a company, because I was essentially working dead leads at that company, like leads that had signed up 5 years prior.
Okay.
So to convert any of those was just, you had to be doing something right.
Yeah. 1 in 100, maybe something like that. I've done that as well.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
For sure. What were some of the ways that you did that? So generating your own leads. And I do think that's important. There's a lot of people going to watch this that, again, they're on a team. Sometimes it's a great place to start. They want to build their own team maybe eventually, that kind of thing. But I think, to be as self-sufficient as you can, as quickly as you can, I think there's a good lesson there.
Right.
How did you do it at the beginning in terms of learning to generate your own leads? What kind of stuff did you do?
So learning the cold call, right? I was literally shaking, did not want to make the first call the first time. It was the weirdest thing because as it went on, I got better and better, more comfortable and more comfortable. And now I enjoy making cold calls, as weird as that sounds.
Sure.
So that's basically what I would do with this team. We would spend the first 3 hours calling listings and getting people to, setting listing appointments. So I got really good at that. And then we would call those dead leads, like I said, out of the blue and say, hey, you still thinking of buying a house? So I was working with a pond of just leads.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, were you at the same company the whole time until you made the move to eXp, or did you move around a little bit?
No. So funny enough, I started with that team. I think they were at Remax.
Okay.
They then went to Keller Williams.
Okay.
And then they went to Pink Realty.
Okay.
And then they tried to get me to go to eXp. And I'm like, no, I'm not making the move anymore. So at that point, I wasn't comfortable enough to be on a team or off of a team, an independent agent. So I went to another company where the splits were just for the work I was doing.
What was it? What kind of split? What were the splits?
I was making, when it's all said and done, because they do this 10% here, 5% here, you're getting 30% on the buy side and 15% on the list side.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I made the move to an independent agent when my last brokerage came to me. They were making 1% on the transaction as a listing agent, and they were making more than I was at 3%.
Right.
So I was like, it makes sense to do this at this point.
Right. So you made the move. You went to an independent company here in town in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And you were there. Let me say one thing real quick. Go back just for a second, because again, I had somebody recently join me here at eXp, and they had been with another company here in town on a team for like the last 4 or 5 years, and every deal that was done was put under the team leader's name.
That's the other thing. You don't get
And
recognition.
yeah, and so one of the things that happened to them is they're coming out of that. Number one, they're it's almost like they feel like they're starting over. If you look at their history, like on the MLS and that kind of stuff, it looks like they haven't had one closing ever.
Yep.
And so in terms of people like even wanting to hire them or bring them in, or they'll do it, but again, there's a challenge there to some degree, but also the fact that they never did learn how to do it on their own. So it's almost like they're starting over brand new now as a 4 or 5 year old realtor. Now they're getting there, they're doing it, but it's just like, man, talk about just, it's just a challenge, to get through that. It is important to do, I think, what you're saying. I mean, get as independent as you can, as self-sufficient as you can. You never know what could happen. That team leader decides, hey, we're going to move to Florida and shut down the team. I mean, that could happen anytime. Something with the company, different things.
Yeah. That same team leader has pretty much wiped out their staff 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no.
And I'm not knocking teams. I had a team.
Right.
There's a lot of great teams out there. There's teams that have been around for 20 years here in town, and great people. So I'm not knocking it at all. I just think it's important to be able to, definitely learn as you're going. Don't just rely, being spoon fed by the team. Sometimes that can come back to bite you down the road, possibly. You just gotta be ready for that. So, okay, so you made the move to the independent company here in town. That was good for you. And you were the number 1 agent at that company.
Yes.
Right?
So last year was my first full year as an agent, right?
Okay.
That's the year I'm counting. So if you look on the MLS, it only shows that I did 27 deals, something like that.
Only 27. Yeah, that's still a lot of deals. But
I actually got really good at finding off-market deals, and I just wasn't claiming them in the MLS. I wasn't still kind of winging it, right? So if those were all added, it would actually be at 45.
Wow, 45 deals last year.
Yeah, first full year.
And that's awesome. And you've branched out a little bit out of Colorado Springs, right? You've done some deals in Denver and different places as well, right?
Yeah, I got a very fuel efficient car, so
there you go.
Basically the whole Front Range. I mean, I've been Cotopaxi, Pueblo, all the way up to Longmont. I had a listing in Longmont last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So did you say 45 or 47?
45.
45. Okay. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for one person. That's a lot. What do you know what the volume was on that approximately? Any idea? And not a big deal if you don't have that. I'm just curious.
That's a lot of
here. Transactions.
Maybe close to 20.
Okay.
I could be way off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so with this kind of market, I mean, you've been around for 5 years, so I mean, it's been a seller's market here for quite a while. For you, what kind of adjustments have you had to make, like even last year, or what about this year? I mean, what are you seeing right now with the market for yourself? I know you're busy. You've got a lot going on, but what kind of adjustments are you making for yourself right now?
It's tough to find, to get your client, especially when they need concessions still, that hasn't gone away, but everybody has appraisal gaps now. So like I was mentioning earlier, I've been looking off market a lot for my buyers.
Right.
Just things like a lot of realtors will tell you stay off Zillow because they're so behind, right? I actually encourage some of my clients, if I'm not looking myself, to go on Zillow and filter out like for sale by agent, foreclosure, new construction, all that, and just leave the for sale by owner tab in there. That's another thing that a lot of realtors don't like to deal with, but I don't mind as long as it's getting my client in a home and it ends up being a win-win situation.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. You got to be creative.
Yeah, you
got to think outside the box a little bit. I think in this market, I do think there's a lot of sellers right now kind of sitting back, waiting. Should we put our house on the market? What are we going to buy if we do?
Yeah.
Sell it. If we're going to stay here, what does that look like? I think there's so much uncertainty out there right now with just the economy and inflation and the war overseas and all this other stuff that's going on. I think there's a lot of people kind of sitting back. Do we really have to do this right now? Some people will. There's always going to be those people that have to make a move.
Yeah.
And I think here in Colorado Springs, I think with all the military, we do get the military moves. I think that helped us back in '08,
Yeah.
'09, whatever. We got hit, but not quite as hard as a lot of places,
Right.
But the good agents adjust. I remember having to make the adjustment to short sales and foreclosures, that kind of stuff, which I'd never done
Yeah.
any of those. And then that really picked up big time
Yeah.
back in those days. I don't know where all that's going now, but the good agents adjust.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just, kind of ride the waves of the market. You create the waves
Exactly.
in the market.
Yeah.
I think that's important to do. So, I reached out to you, whatever it was, I don't know, a year ago. And
Yeah.
I just, hey, have you ever taken a look at eXp? And, I remember you telling me about the team that you were on that, had made the move and you just didn't want to do it. But let me ask, do you remember like what opened you up to even look at it with me? Because I know we got together and looked at it. Why did you say, well, okay, sure, I'll take a look?
Yeah, I don't even know. I had a wild hair at my butt that day because I don't normally listen to recruiting calls.
Yeah. Sure.
But for whatever reason, I mean, it must have just been right place, right time.
I'm really good, Colin.
Yeah, that too. That too. And I took a second to listen, and what you were saying made sense. So I'm like, it's worth at least sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know and again, I probably use this with you. I mean, my approach with people, and I would tell everybody out there, like, it never hurts to look at something,
Right.
We never know what opportunities are out there.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, if somebody called me today and asked me to take a look at something, I'd set an appointment to look at it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just, whether it's real estate or something else, you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I've said no to, but, I don't know, 19 out of 20 things that come at me, I say no to. I mean, it's just, this is not what I'm looking for or looking to do or add something else to my business or whatever. But you don't know without really exploring it and looking. And so I think I probably use that with you in terms of just like, hey, it never hurts to look. And, I'm never here to sell anybody on it. I just want to give them the info and help them evaluate it. And I think, sometimes, a lot of times when I show agents what this could do for you, it's going to be more money for you over there. And for you, and that's one of the things I was like, wow, when I, just as you and I were talking the last few days, like we got to share this story with people because you're on track right now. You think you've got the potential right now to make an additional $100,000 here your first year.
Yeah, if I do the same volume that I did this year, which it's looking like I'll probably beat that this year. But if I just stayed the same, I'd make 6 figures more.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And when you brought that up and I did the math and we did the math in my head, I'm like, I got to bring the big boss out to, verify that this isn't a complete scam. I mean, it seems too good to be true.
Right. Definitely. Well, I remember we sat down with your wife and showed her that day.
And she's like, you better go.
Yeah.
And that's what she told me.
And so you made the move here. When was it? How long ago?
November 1st.
November.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's learning curve. It's new systems, new tools and stuff. How has it been for you since you've been here?
So I'll be completely honest with you.
Sure.
I have been so busy, and maybe that's an excuse, that I've been in the world twice. I watched a couple of I watched a couple of the videos, or the you put me onto some of the trainings, the past trainings. I watched a couple of them.
Sorry about that. Jeez,
no, you're fine.
Jeez, technical glitch. We're live, everybody. So.
I just haven't had a chance to explore much, but from everything I have experienced, I'm looking forward to getting into it more and seeing what all is out there. I'm excited for some of these trips, take my wife on some trips and learn some stuff in the meantime.
Yeah.
And
which I would tell you, if you can, and again, for everybody out there, anybody can come to this. We've got a big event coming up in August, down in Dallas. With Tony Robbins is going to be there,
nice.
And I was at that event last year and Tony was there and it was unbelievable. Have you ever seen Tony Robbins live?
Not live, no.
Dude, I'm not kidding. He spoke for about 5 hours, like the last day we were there, and it was the fastest 5 hours I've ever been through in my life. I mean, it was one of those things. I mean, there was so much energy and everything going. I remember at one point looking at my watch. I'm like, we'd been there for like 3.5 hours. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! Like it was the fastest, moving thing in the world. But it was so powerful, And so he's going to be there pouring into everybody, that last day. Really, really good event. Of course, our shareholders is coming up in Orlando.
Yeah, that's another cool thing.
Well, and you think about it, we're shareholders now.
Yeah.
You're getting stock with every closing you have. And
Just by
even that
doing
right
whatever.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
by
from
doing what
doing
you've
what
been
I'm already
doing.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the ways you're going to get a lot of your money back, but and just make that much more money. Now you capped, right? You hit the
Yep.
cap, so you're at 100% now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that'll reset in November.
And it's nice.
Yeah,
It's
100%. Were
nice.
you ever at 100% at your other company
No. So the last company I was at, it was 80/20, just through and through.
across the board? No
Yeah.
cap. Yeah, there's a lot of
And
my first company I was
yeah,
at was 70/30 with no cap.
yeah.
And
I
I didn't
worked
know
my
any
way,
better.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying I worked my way up to the 80/20 there. So before it was a little less.
Right. There's a
Um,
lot of people out there I talk to that again they never get to 100%. They cap out at 16,000, 18,000, whatever, but then they have this, 5% or 6% off of every
mhm.
deal is like a franchise fee or a royalty fee, that kind of stuff. I'm like, which we just don't have. So
Right.
you're at a true 100% over here once you cap.
Yeah.
Which that's big for you. Even that right there will make
Oh
more
yeah.
money.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm
again, I
feeling
know
it.
you're on track to hit the icon status. Can you explain to everybody what that is here? Can you tell everybody what
So
do you remember how that works?
yes,
You're on
that's
track to hit that this year.
after you cap, you do 20 deals extra. When you cap, you have an admin fee of 250 per transaction, and once you basically pay in 5,000 from that,
Hmm.
you get that all that cap money back in company stock, if I
Right.
remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And I don't know. I've honestly had it usually. I mean, most of the time the buyers or sellers, we're able to get that cap covered,
Hmm.
in the transaction itself.
Hmm.
So it's not coming out of my pocket either. That transaction fee. But there's ways to do that, of
Oh,
course.
for sure.
But yeah, you get all that back. And honestly, that stock. I mean, there's a lady down in Texas. She spoke at our convention last year in Las Vegas, and she's been here 5 years. She got her cap, which is 16,000. She got that back her first year. That $16,000 worth of stock today is worth about 1.4 million. She's been here for 5 years. She's
Wow.
gotten her cap back all 5 years she's been here. Her total stock value now, depending on the day and the closing price of the stock, is somewhere between $8 and $9 million. Now, people go, "That's crazy. That's impossible. There's
Hmm.
no way." I mean, no. That's one of the things that's happened over here. It's just one thing. There's
Yeah.
multiple ways we're getting paid over here for doing what we've been doing anyway. And I think that's where when agents I just have to be like, just look, this is not just another model. This is a
Hmm.
completely different model. It's never been done before. You will make more money over here
Hmm.
in multiple ways that can happen, and so I know that's happening for you. What let me ask you, like, what kind of goals do you have? Like 5 years from now, where do you want to be with your business? Any thoughts on that?
Ideally, I'd like to be on a beach somewhere with a a drink in my hand.
Yeah,
But I just want to keep growing, keep testing my limits. I'm very competitive with myself, so I just want to see where I can get to. I have goals in
sure,
my head, um, but it's just trying to attain those.
sure.
While so I didn't get into real estate to work my life away. I
Right.
try to, I mean, and this is the crazy part. I did 45 deals last year, and I still spent most evenings at home with my family.
Good for you.
Like a good portion of it. So that's always in the back of my mind. I want to be an active family member while I'm out chasing my dreams.
Yeah, for sure. How old are your
Yeah,
kids?
3 and 4 and 11.
Yeah. See, and that's
Yeah,
so important. It's so good that you've got that mindset. I think there's a lot
yeah.
of people out there, again, because we're all chasing the next deal. We're all chasing the goals and the
Hmm.
trophies and the awards and the recognition and all these different things, and that's all good. I mean, I'm all about pushing myself, but not
Right.
at the expense of my
Um,
family
exactly.
or my health or different things. Now,
Hmm.
I did that back in the day, and man, it's just like there's a couple years there that I can't get back.
Yeah.
So you learn your lesson from that. I mean,
Hmm.
my kids want nothing to do with real estate because they saw what it was doing to me and all that kind of stuff. And not that I want them to pursue whatever they want to pursue. I'm not about making them
Right.
do what I'm doing, but I definitely made some mistakes, back in the day. And I preach that from the rooftop at this point. Like, man, don't do what I did. I mean, seriously, none of us are going to go to our graves wishing we did the next deal.
Yeah.
It's going to be about your family and about
Exactly.
the time you spent with them and the memories you built, And I think the nice thing about this model is, 5 years from now, you could be on the beach and be making every bit as much money as you're making right now. That is possible with this model, because you've got that ability to set something up like here over time through the stocks, through the different, revenue streams that are here for those that want to take advantage of that. So anyway, let me add one last thing, just, because again, with some of these newer agents that might be watching this, and then we'll wrap it up here. If you could go back and, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to say your first year, okay, in the business, what would you tell yourself going back to that first year? Like, man, something that you've learned now that you would do different if you could go back and redo it. Is there
That is
anything
a
that comes to
good
mind?
question. Shoot, a lot.
What's one thing?
Be a single agent sooner, because I floated on teams for 3.5, 4 years.
Okay.
Just I was so scared to make the leap, because a lot of teams, I'm not discounting all teams, but a lot of teams act like they're the rainmaker, and then that is not possible once you get off of those teams. And my business increased when I got off of a team. Like I made, just strictly numbers, I was on a team for half a year before my first full year as a single agent, and I made 50. And then within 5.5 months of that other brokerage, even with the split, I had made 6 figures. And that was just mind blowing to me.
Learning how to do it yourself, being more independent.
Teach yourself to fish rather than relying on people giving you fish.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great advice for everybody out there. Nothing wrong with being on a team.
Right.
But be as independent as you can along the way. Learn what you can, get in the trainings, go to the classes, learn how to generate your own leads, get out there, hustle, talk to as many people as you can. It's a numbers game, for sure. Put all that into play, whatever, so you can be as independent. So, you're not, I don't want to be told how much I'm worth. I want to determine how much I'm worth.
Yeah.
And that can happen when you're your own boss. Now it's going to take that drive and that discipline and a desire to get out of bed in the morning and build your own business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have that, which is why there's such a huge turnover in real estate. I mean, I think most agents were like, within 2 years they're out of the business. They didn't realize that, wait a minute, maybe I wasn't meant to do this. It's not as easy as I thought. This is not going to be easy, but it's worth it if you can really learn how to do it and do it right.
Exactly. So, and these on market, if a new agent just has a buyer and they're looking strictly on market, and this buyer's not coming in with 50, 60 grand to put down, it'll get you out of the business, because we work off commission, right? If we're not making money, we can't keep going. So that's why I really think that looking off market, whether it's calling around the neighborhood that your client wants to be in, looking at for sale by owners. There's a few companies out there that are hit and miss, like Open Door. Zillow's gotten smart and has started listing with an agent on the MLS as opposed to themselves. So the houses are going a little quicker, but I was using Zillow for a time because they're nice houses. And they just don't market well. So they sit on the market for 30, 40 days, and you're like, okay, it's a nice house. Get my client into a house.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Any last thing you want to share before we jump off of here?
No, sir.
You've got
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate getting on. I know you're busy. You got what, 8 deals under contract right now?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple more.
That's awesome, man. I mean, seriously, this kind of market, I'm hearing it every day from agents as I'm out there talking to people, whatever. And it's like, I mean, really strong, seasoned, good agents. They're scrambling, trying to figure out, like, where is that next listing? Where is that next deal? It's hard, so you're hustling. Obviously, you're doing some great things. So anyway, it is great to have you here at eXp. It really is. I look forward to a lot of big things ahead. So
yes, sir.
Anyway,
I'm excited.
Good deal. Well, guys, thank you very much for jumping on. If you aren't subscribed, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're doing this I'm actually got 2 more of these we're doing this week with other agents, and always good tips and tricks and tools, things that are working for different agents you can pick up on. So hit the subscribe button on there. You can comment on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. If you got a question, ask it. Colin or myself will get back to you, but just here to add value, whatever we can do. So we appreciate it. Colin, thank you again. Guys, have a great day. Have a great week. Okay.